Sarah Martinez woke up at 5:30 a.m. The alarm hadn't gone off yet, but her body knew. 13 years of the same routine had programmed her like a machine. She walked to the tiny kitchen of her small apartment and made coffee. Cheap supermarket brand. It tasted terrible, but it did the job. She looked out the window at the dark Houston streets. The poor neighborhood was still asleep, but Sarah's day had already begun. She showered, tied her hair back, and put on her old jeans and a faded t-shirt. Her cleaning supplies were already in the car from yesterday. A 1998 Honda Civic with broken air conditioning, but a strong engine. Sarah didn't complain. At least she had a car. At least she had work. She drove to her first client listening to Spanish radio. Her family had come from Mexico when she was 10. Now she was 42, and still living the same life. But something was about to change. She just didn't know it yet. At 7 a.m. sharp, she arrived at Mrs. Henderson's house in River Oaks. When the door opened, Sarah's breath caught like it did every single time. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a pool, a tennis court. Sarah's entire life could fit inside this woman's garage. Mrs. Henderson greeted her at the door with a smile that was polite but distant. Sarah nodded and entered, immediately getting to work. Mrs. Henderson walked to her office and got on the phone. Sarah started in the living room, dusting the expensive artwork and wiping down surfaces that barely had any dust to begin with. That's when she heard it. Mrs. Henderson was talking to her real estate advisor on speakerphone. The conversation drifted into the hallway where Sarah was working. 4 units in the Memorial area. An offer of $2.3 million. Annual rental income of $180,000. Sarah's hands moved slowly with the duster, but her mind was racing. She wrote the numbers down in her head. 4 units, $2.3 million. $180,000 per year. The math was simple, but the concept was foreign. Mrs. Henderson wasn't just rich because she had money. She was making money while she slept. Sarah moved to the next room, but something had shifted inside her. For 13 years, she had cleaned the homes of wealthy people and never really wondered how they got there. She assumed they were born into it, or were smarter, or had connections she would never have. But this conversation revealed something different. Mrs. Henderson was actively building wealth. She was making decisions, taking calculated risks, and multiplying her money. And Sarah had just overheard the blueprint. At 10 a.m., she arrived at her second client's house, Mr. and Mrs. Chen, an Asian couple who had retired early from the tech industry. Their home was smaller than Mrs. Henderson's, but still beautiful. Modern, clean, minimalist. Sarah cleaned the bathrooms while Mrs. Chen talked on the phone in the next room. Another real estate conversation, this time about Airbnb properties. 5 properties generating $47,000 per month. After cleaning and management costs, they netted $35,000 every single month from properties they didn't even own. They were renting them and subletting them on Airbnb. Rental arbitrage. Sarah paused while scrubbing the bathtub. 5 properties. $35,000 per month net. Without owning anything, just by being smart and strategic. Her brain started working differently. She pulled out her phone during her lunch break and sat in her car eating a cheap taco. She typed into Google, Airbnb rental arbitrage Houston. Hundreds of articles appeared. She read as much as she could in her 30-minute break, then drove to her third client. The Woodlands. A massive estate owned by Mr. Davidson, a finance executive. Sarah swept the living room, while Mr. Davidson held a meeting in his office. The door was slightly open. She could hear every word. He was talking to colleagues about real estate investing, the 2008 crisis, how everyone panicked and sold, how he bought 40 properties when prices crashed, how each property was now worth 3 times what he paid. His voice was confident, almost casual. Crisis equals opportunity. When everyone sells, you buy. Sarah moved slowly, absorbing every word like a sponge. That night, she got home at 8 p.m. 12 hours of work. Her pay for the day was $180. After taxes, about $135. Her monthly income was $2,600. Rent took $950. Car, food, electricity, phone took another $1,400. She had $250 left each month. Barely enough to save anything. But that night something had ignited inside her. She opened her old laptop and started watching YouTube videos. No money down real estate, house hacking strategies, rental property for beginners. She watched until 2 a.m. She learned about FHA loans. You could buy a house with just 3.5% down if you lived in it. Sarah did the math. A $150,000 house required $5,250 down payment, plus closing costs of about $3,000. Total $8,250. Sarah had $840 in her bank account. She was $7,410 short, but she didn't give up. She created a plan: save every extra dollar, cut every unnecessary expense, work extra shifts, and most importantly, keep learning. The next day at work, she listened differently. She wasn't just a cleaning lady anymore. She was a student in the University of Wealth. At Mrs. Henderson's house, she heard another phone call. Only properties with positive cash flow. The rent must be higher than the mortgage payment. Otherwise, it's not an investment. It's a burden. Sarah made a mental note. Positive cash flow equals rent greater than mortgage. At the Said's house, she overheard them discussing credit scores. Theirs was 780, which got them the best interest rate of 3.2%. Everyone should protect their credit score. That evening, Sarah checked her own credit score for the first time in years. 640. Not terrible, but not good either. She started paying extra on her credit card debts. $50 extra every month. Slow but steady. 3 months later, her score hit 680. 6 months later, it reached 710. Every day, Sarah was learning. She listened to phone calls. She read books left on her clients' shelves. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, from Mr. Davidson's office. She read it during lunch breaks. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor from Mrs. Henderson's library. She read chapter by chapter while taking short breaks during cleaning. Sarah was no longer just a cleaning lady. She was an invisible student, a silent observer in the world of the wealthy. A year passed. She still did the same work, but her mind had completely transformed. She now looked at Houston differently. Every neighborhood was an opportunity. Every building was an investment. Every for rent sign was potential. Her savings had grown to $3,400, slow but determined. Every extra shift, every tip, every penny was accumulating in her account. But it still wasn't enough. One day, she gathered the courage to speak to Mr. Davidson. She mentioned that she had been reading his books about real estate investing. Mr. Davidson looked surprised. He smiled and told her something that changed everything. Real estate isn't about knowledge, it's about courage. Taking the first step is the hardest part. That night, Sarah thought about those words for hours. Taking the first step, but how? Then an idea struck her. The next day, she asked Mrs. Chen a question. Did she manage the Airbnb properties herself? Mrs. Chen said yes. They had 5 properties. Sarah asked who did the cleaning. A company they paid $2,400 per month. Sarah swallowed hard and made an offer. She could do it for half the price. $1,200 per month. Mrs. Chen paused and looked at Sarah with new eyes. She agreed to try it for 1 month. That night, Sarah cried. Not from sadness, but from hope. She had taken her first step. The Airbnb cleaning job added $1,200 to her monthly income. Suddenly, she was making $3,800 per month. After expenses, she could save $1,000 each month. In 8 months, she would have enough for a down payment, but Sarah didn't want to wait 8 months. She wanted to move faster. She approached 2 more Airbnb owners she had heard about through Mrs. Chen. She offered the same deal. Both agreed. Now she was making an extra $3,600 per month just from Airbnb cleanings. She quit one of her regular house cleaning clients to make time. Her total monthly income jumped to $6,200. After all expenses, she was saving $2,800 per month. In 3 months, she had $11,800. More than enough for her first property. Sarah started looking at houses. She drove through neighborhoods after work, studying for sale signs. She attended open houses on weekends. She talked to real estate agents. Most of them dismissed her at first. A cleaning lady wanting to buy investment property, but Sarah was persistent. She found an agent named Jennifer who actually listened. Jennifer showed her a small duplex in the East End, 2 units. The seller was motivated because of a divorce. The price was $145,000. Sarah could live in one unit and rent out the other. She made an offer. $140,000. The seller accepted. Sarah's heart raced. This was really happening. She applied for an FHA loan with her 710 credit score. The bank approved her. Her down payment was $4,900. Closing costs were $3,200. Total out-of-pocket, $8,100. She had $11,800 saved. She closed on the property 4 weeks later. Sarah moved into one unit of the duplex. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers. She rented out the other unit for $1,100 per month. Her total mortgage payment was $980. She was living for free and making $120 per month in cash flow. But more importantly, someone else was paying down her mortgage. She was building equity every single month. Her net worth was growing while she slept, just like Mrs. Henderson. 6 months later, Sarah had saved another $12,000 from her Airbnb cleaning business. She bought a second duplex using the same strategy, then a third. By the end of year 2, she owned 5 properties, all small duplexes and fourplexes in working-class neighborhoods. Her total rental income was $9,400 per month. Her total mortgage payments were $6,100. Net cash flow, $3,300 per month. And her equity was building in 5 different properties. But Sarah didn't stop there. She remembered what Mr. Davidson had said about the 2008 crisis. Crisis equals opportunity. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, many small landlords panicked and started selling. Sarah didn't panic. She had been saving aggressively. She had $47,000 in cash reserves. When properties started hitting the market at discount prices, Sarah was ready. She bought 3 more properties in 3 months, all below market value, all with strong rental potential. By 2021, she owned 8 properties. Her monthly cash flow was $7,800, more than she had ever made cleaning houses. But she still ran her Airbnb cleaning business because it generated capital for her next deals. She hired 2 employees to help with the cleaning. She was no longer doing the physical work herself. She was managing, she was building a business. In 2022, Sarah made her biggest move yet. A small apartment building came on the market, 12 units. The owner had passed away, and the family wanted to sell quickly. The asking price was $1.4 million. Sarah had built relationships with private lenders through her previous deals. She structured a creative deal with 15% down and seller financing for the rest. She bought the building. The 12 units generated $16,800 per month in rent. After all expenses and debt service, she netted $4,200 per month just from that one building. By 2023, Sarah's real estate portfolio was worth $4.7 million. She owned 31 rental units across Houston. Her monthly cash flow was over $23,000. She had completely quit cleaning houses. She now spent her time managing her properties, meeting with investors, and looking for her next deals. She hired a property management company to handle the day-to-day operations. She had become what she used to serve. She was now the wealthy client. But Sarah never forgot where she came from. She started mentoring other immigrants and working-class people who wanted to get into real estate. She taught them what she had learned by listening in those wealthy homes. She showed them that you don't need to be born rich. You don't need fancy degrees. You just need to pay attention, learn constantly, and have the courage to take the first step. In 2024, Sarah's net worth crossed $12 million. She expanded beyond residential real estate into small commercial properties. She bought a strip mall, then a small office building. Her monthly income was now over $87,000, more than she used to make in an entire year of cleaning houses. She moved into a beautiful home in the same River Oaks neighborhood where she used to clean. Sometimes she would drive past Mrs. Henderson's house and smile. That phone call 7 years ago had changed her entire life. By early 2025, Sarah's real estate empire was valued at $127 million. She owned over 200 residential units and 5 commercial properties across Houston. Her annual net income exceeded $4.2 million. She had become one of the most successful real estate investors in the city. And it all started because she listened, because she paid attention, because she saw an opportunity that was hiding in plain sight. Sarah's story proves something powerful. Wealth isn't reserved for people born into privilege. It's available to anyone willing to learn, work hard, and take strategic risks. Sarah didn't have money. She didn't have connections. She didn't even speak perfect English when she started. But she had something more valuable. She had the courage to imagine a different life, and the discipline to make it happen. The opportunity is still out there. Right now, someone is cleaning a house and overhearing a conversation that could change their life. Someone is working a regular job but paying attention to the wealthy people around them. Someone is one decision away from starting their own journey to financial freedom. That someone could be you. The question isn't whether the opportunity exists. The question is, are you listening?